What's up, everybody? Jed Johnson from dieselcrew.com. Of course, you know they call me NAPALM, and this is video number 1 in the 31 days of Q&A 2024. So for every day in the month of December, I will be putting out a new video, and this year I will be accepting questions. You can leave them in the comments section below, but also I'm going to be targeting certain topics that I want to cover to help out the community here on my channel. So what I'm starting with this year is, what is the conjugate method? The reason that I want to cover this is not because I consider myself a master of powerlifting or a master of the conjugate method. I just want to put this out because it's made such a difference in my training. I think that while I'm definitely stronger than I ever have been before on deadlift and overhead press, and I feel that I continue to be able to put on muscle even at 45 years old. And I feel really good all the time. The only thing that ever bothers me anymore is my tricep tendons. So the very end point insertion of my tendons gets sore. If I bump my elbow on something, it's like I got shot with a rifle. So really that's the only thing that I feel is beat up on my body. And I feel that over the last 2 years since doing the conjugate method, that has been a huge difference maker. So I really identify with people who are older and think they're done with strength training, and you're not. And I encourage you, or at least you don't have to be done with strength training. And I encourage you to find out more about the conjugate method and try to implement it in your training, because I feel it's extremely beneficial. So first off, what does conjugate training mean? What this means is you are combining the different types of training into your program all at the same time. So to give you an example, for a lot of years, I was focused on mainly just strength training. Then after I got burnt out on that, or I got really beat up and was injured a lot, then I would phase the heavy lifting out and go more for like a muscle building approach. The weights are lighter, the training's a little bit more fun, doesn't beat you up as bad. Well, I kind of needed something different in my training a couple years ago. So basically the beginning of 2023. So I started following the teachings of Louis Simmons, Dave Tate, and Matt Wenning. Followed a program by Matt Wenning, and I absolutely love my training program now. So instead of bouncing back and forth from like a power phase, a strength phase, a muscle building phase, you would combine all these things together so your program attacks all those facets of lifting. So conjugate training basically includes 3 types of training. Maximum effort training, where you try to either set a PR or work in the 90% plus range. So it depends on who you follow. There is some variation. I want to keep this video as simple as possible, but it depends on who you follow. When I started this out, and when I changed my training to this type of emphasis, I was following what Louis Simmons was teaching in his videos. Rest in peace, Louis Simmons, big influence in my training. But I was watching the West Side Barbell podcast that he did, and the approach I took was on max effort days, I would try to set a new PR on the lift. Now, okay, so max effort. We also have dynamic effort. This is where you would focus on developing as much speed as you can by moving the bar as fast as you can, okay? There's also repetition effort. This includes pretty much everything else in your training that is based around bringing up your weak points and getting bigger and more muscular, okay? So max effort is your limit strength and pushing and pulling as much weight as you possibly can. Dynamic effort is a reduction in weight, possibly using some kind of accommodating resistance like bands, and you move the bar extremely fast. Repetition effort is everything else, where if you've got a weak point, your triceps are holding your back on the bench, then you work your triceps strategically in order to bring your tricep strength up over time. And then you would also try to put on more muscle, because the bigger the muscle, the better potential it has for producing strength. The basic training template for conjugate training is, on Monday, you would do max effort, lower body. You would test your lower body strength in a given exercise. The rest of the workout is accessory work. Wednesday is max effort, upper body. You would test your limits on an upper body exercise. The rest of the workout is accessory work. Friday is dynamic effort, lower. So you would drastically lower the weights and you would perform a lower body exercise and try to maintain the speed. And I remember that Louis would talk about 0.8 meters per second, moving the bar through that distance as fast as you can. Specifically, on lower body day, they talk about doing 50 to 60% of your 1 rep max. So if you're doing a 500 pound deadlift, that's like 250 to 300 pounds basically, with 25% band tension on the bar. So it starts out really light, but it gets harder at the top because the bands are stretching and you're actually pulling against that band resistance. Saturday is dynamic effort, upper. So you would choose an upper body exercise and perform that very fast. And the information I found just looking up, because I couldn't remember, is 50% of your 1 rep max with 25% of band tension added to the bar. Now, if you've seen West Side training or conjugate training online, you also may see chains attached to the bar. And over the years, as they were developing and figuring this system out, I know at one point they were using chains on the bar, and eventually they went to bands. So I use only bands on squat because I get sick of setting up the chains, especially when I'm training by myself. I use only chains on deadlift because they're easier to set up than bands. And then I'll use both of them on upper body day, and I'll just alternate them back and forth. So the normal conjugate template is a 4-day program, and you work lower body, and then 72 hours later you work lower body again, and then 72 hours later you work lower body again. This is just something that was figured out to be optimal for training. We started out doing a 3-day conjugate split. So here's the thing. I train body on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I train grip on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I take Sundays off religiously. If I have a trip on Saturday or a contest, then sometimes I will do my Saturday training on Sunday. But generally, it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday for body, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for grip. Because I have those 3 grip days, I cannot fit in a 4th body day. So what we were doing is 1 week, it would be Monday, lower, Wednesday, upper, Friday, lower, and then Monday, it would be just the opposite. Monday, upper, Wednesday, lower, Friday, upper. So every other week, we would have 2 upper body days, and we were pressing on both days. Either we were pushing on both days. So one day would be a press, and the other day would be a bench. Conjugate training does not involve the overhead press like I like to train. So I had to make some changes to the program. And that's why on every other week, Monday might be press day, and then Friday might be bench day. After a while, it got to be too much for my elbows. So the pain that I have right now in my elbows is nothing compared to what it was. My elbows were hurting all day long, every single day. Not just when I bumped them, like all the time. So we eventually made the change so that we're doing the split that I have right now, which is written right here, which I will cover in a second. But I also want to point out a difference that I do compared to the historic conjugate template is that when we do max effort upper and it's a press day, we also do speed work for bench on that same day, which is not the normal conjugate training. Remember, the dynamic effort, the speed work, is done on a separate day. And then when we do max effort bench, we do dynamic effort press on the same day. So that's another difference. When we do max effort squat, we also do dynamic effort deadlift on that day. When we do max effort deadlift, we do dynamic effort squat on that day. So if you see any videos where I've got both max effort and dynamic in the same day, that is a choice I made so that I could continue to work dynamic effort into the program, because I don't have 4 days to work with, and having 2 upper body days in the same week just does not work for my elbows. Now, the current split that we are doing right now is another modification. So we've gone one step further to allow us to work the inch overhead press work. So what we've done is on Monday, it's a max effort upper. So 1 week it'll be press, the next week it'll be bench. Generally on both of those days, we do the inch dumbbell work overhead of some sort. Wednesday is our max effort lower. So 1 week, the max effort exercise is deadlift. The next week, the max effort exercise on Wednesday is squat. And then, like I said, whatever was the max effort lift, then a variation of the other lower body lift is done for speed. Friday is either a full upper body day where we focus on muscle building for the upper body, or it's an upper and lower combined day. And on those days, we go to the high school gym because they have machines there that I don't have. So we're able to work isolation, and we really make it a good quality muscle building day in order to isolate the muscles and trigger better muscular development that way. Because I also follow Paul Carter, and his emphasis these days is more muscle building, and I really like the way he approaches it. So that's why we've gone to the machines. Now, the way that we have implemented the program, I think we've been very, very, very successful on deadlift and squat. Somewhat successful on bench, except we don't do bench press because it messes my shoulders up. And I don't have the patience to deal with it, so we do dumbbell bench press. And personally, my lifetime goal is to hit a set of 10 with the 150-pound dumbbells, which I did one time when I was in my early 20s, but I did it on a Swiss ball, and you get bounce out of the bottom with the Swiss ball, so I don't really count it. So a lifetime goal is to hit 10 reps with the 150s. So you'll see me working with the 150s and have ankle weights or ankle cuffs on my wrists with chains attached for the accommodating resistance, which comes from conjugate training, West Side Barbell, etc. The way that we've made this so successful for deadlift and squats is because we have a ton of variations for deadlift and squat. We were employing many variations for press and bench, but we've kind of gotten away from that because of the implementation of the inch overhead work. But this sheet right here, and I know you won't be able to read this, but this sheet right here is a document that shows all of our PRs for all of these lifts. So for squat, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 different lifts that we test. For deadlift, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 exercises that we test. For press, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different lifts that we were testing. And for bench, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 different lifts that we were testing for bench. So what does this mean? We do not just do max effort tests for deadlifting off the floor. We vary this up by standing on a box, a 3-inch box, starting with the weights on a 3-inch box, starting with the weights on a 9-inch box, starting with the weights in the bottom pin of the squat cage. That's all for deadlift. We also test trap bar. We also test sumo, and we have variations off of boxes for those as well. For squat, like I said, I think we had 15. We vary up the bar that we use. So we have a straight bar that we use. We have a safety bar that we use. We'll do box squats. We'll go without the box. We'll do a high box and a low box. Variations also involve whether or not bands are on the barbell for the squats. For the press, we primarily use the barbell, which I think is one of the problems in our program because we don't vary away from the implement being used. But we press the barbell. We press the barbell with bands. We press the barbell with the camber attachments so that it sways a little bit when you press it. We have tested the football bar. We test seated dumbbell press, and we test standing dumbbell press. So those are some of the variations that we use. For the bench, we do normal bench press with bands, 3-board bench, 6-board bench, dead stop bench off of pin 24, dead stop off of pin 25. We add bands and chains to that. We've done floor press, and then we've done a bunch of different dumbbell bench variations, football bar bench, and incline dumbbell. So what this allows you to do is you don't want to do the same thing all the time. All of the masters of conjugate training that I have either watched or read, they have multiple variations in order to change the movement ever so slightly, make it easier, more difficult, work on a weakness, etc., etc. So that's why we have documentation for these. On a max effort day, our goal on lower body is to break our previous mark by at least 5 pounds. On press, it was also the goal to break the press by 5 pounds. I don't think either of us, well, Evan has, but I don't think I've set a new press PR all year, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say. And that is because just about every single time I try to break it by 5 pounds and it just doesn't work out. Especially since cutting out the banded variations on the press and for max effort, and also the dead stop press outs off the pin, you know, our progress has really stagnated. But the reason we got away from that is because the reason I got away from that is because the presses off the pins were absolutely killing my elbows. So it's probably time to put some of those variations back in because what we're doing right now for press is not working. The other thing we could do is instead of trying to jump up 5 pounds, we could use the micro gains plates, the fractional plates that I have here. But I think in looking back, I've only tried to do that one time, and it was a day where I think I was really stressed out and it just didn't work. In addition to this, I also have 4 different variations of strict curl that we track, and 1 variation for dips plus weight, and another inch band assist press that I've never put up on YouTube. We don't need to talk about that. But I try to track all this stuff. This is also how I train my youth lifters that are more advanced. Works out fantastic for them. So I know that this process does not only work just for me, it also works for my my youth lifters who have had at least 2 years of experience. Absolutely awesome. So I strongly encourage you to consider conjugate training in your general strength training. I'm also working on applying conjugate training to grip training, which I think I've got a pretty good lead on how to make this successful. The thing that I was having trouble with was the dynamic effort work, but I think I figured it out. And the way that training has been going since the light bulb went off with this, I'm pretty excited about the future for grip training. Real quick, I meant to say this earlier. I'm going to do some product pitching during these 31 days of Q&A, and this one is Stone Lifting Fundamentals. This is one of the first DVDs that my longtime friend Jim Smith and I put together back in 2006. And the reason that I selected this product, it's available in DVD as well as digital in my store. You can go to the description box below to pick this up. But we actually applied conjugate training to stone lifting, and it's included in this DVD. So we learned about the application of conjugate training to strongman training from CJ Murphy at Total Performance Sports. And we included some of the stuff that we were doing at the time in this DVD. So check out the description box for that. There will be other information in the description box about how you can support the channel. And like I said before, if you have any questions that you would like to submit, you can do that in the comment section. If you have any questions on what I've talked about in today's video, leave those in the comment section. Feel free to share this video around, and by all means, don't forget to subscribe. I'd love by the end of the year to get to 16,000 subscribers. I've only been in the 15,000 since 2018 when Juji Mufu was here. So thanks a lot for watching the video. Thanks for your support. Give it one of these, and all the best in your training. 31 days of Q&A. It's back already. Can you believe it?